Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's my pleasure to be with you this Monday morning. Today is June 3rd. So this is great. This is our first weekday of the new month. So we can reflect back on the month prior, which of course was May. How did it turn out economically for you? As a distribution partner, most of you are on our new affiliate platform. We have a landing page that looks like this. Did you hit your income goals last month? When we set up the Making Millionaires campaign, it was real simple. We wanted to provide free landing pages to our affiliate partners and then provide an economic model where they're able to refer in, on average, one person a day. They make a minimum of $5,000 for each referral. Of course, if we do that 20 days a month, taking weekends and holidays off, that gets us at the 100,000. Multiply that times 12, and now we're at 1.2 million. So that's where the concept came about. We're going to talk about financial projections today, not so much about your financial projections, but more about clients' financial projections and why that's an important element of getting funded. But before that, let's again revisit your money, because if you're successful and you're thriving financially, then you'll probably be helping more people. So let's look at your best interest first, then we'll talk about clients. All of us come from different walks of life, different circumstances, and many of us have had peaks and valleys in our career, and that's okay. That's typically the way it goes. But I want to make sure that you all feel empowered, that you have the merit, the worth to generate a six-figure a month income. It's not too good to be true. There's lots of people that make a lot of money. If you're not around those people, it's real easy to think, oh, that's too good to be true. I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, and I know many of you do as well. And I forget which day of the week it is where they have the real estate section. It may be Thursday or Saturday. I don't remember. But in the Wall Street Journal, they have all these properties, and they list some of the most expensive properties sold across the country. And so you see houses and condominiums and penthouses selling for 10 million or 20 million or 50 million or more. And it's real easy to think, well, that's not true. There's no one that makes enough money to buy those extraordinarily expensive houses. Where that is true, and that's public record. We're not trying to become the next Donald Trump, but in terms of being able to earn an adult income, it's real. It's just up to you. So let's look at the definition of meritocracy. Meritocracy. And as I was visiting with Latasha over the weekend, she had mentioned this concept. So we thought, well, let's bring it to everyone today. So as Latasha would tell you, meritocracy is the idea that power, prestige, and wealth should be vested in individuals strictly on the basis of their talent, effort, and achievement. So what it means is we earn what we're worth. It's not restricted by our age. It's not restricted by our gender or our race, or frankly, even our education. There's a lot of really well-educated people that don't make as much money as you do, or as our affiliates do. And then there's a lot of very, very financially successful affiliates that are hitting the 100,000 a month that are not well-educated. So the key is to accept the concept, like Latasha mentioned, is you make what you're worth. But you are, as an affiliate in our program, you have the ability to help other people, which we'll be talking about here in a moment, and earning an adult income. So we just want to make sure that as we go into the month of June, I know today's not June 1st, but it's the first weekday, it's the first Zoom we've done this month, that each of you realize you deserve it. You should be generating 5,000 a day, 100,000 a month. And that is accomplished based upon your talent, your effort, and your achievement. But we make it really, really simple, right? With a free landing page, you don't have to sell anyone anything. You don't have to service clients. All you need to do is to be capable to create awareness, possibly use this paragraph of information and help people complete the form. Let's take Josh for a moment. Josh is not on the training today. Josh has been with us about a week now. He is at 20 or 25,000 of earnings so far. So, I mean, it's not like winning the lottery, but a lot of people don't make 25,000 in a week. And in his first week, that's where he is. At first, he came out of the gate struggling a little bit. He wasn't following best practices. So what are the best practices? Because everyone should have their landing page, right? If you don't have your landing page, you got to get with this because you should have your landing page. But what we know is if in a perfect world, if you're on the phone with a person when you give them your landing page, normally you text it to them, and stay on the phone with them when they're completing their first name, last name, mobile number, email. They check the box, click the blue. So be on the phone with them when they're completing this. I mean, it's so simple, I realize you'd think, well, I shouldn't have to be. And Josh initially wasn't. And when Josh was being told by his prospects that they were doing it, and then Charlotte, who's our program manager, was telling Josh, no, they're not doing it, we realized many of them were not. So best practice, which is what he's doing now, and I encourage you, is go ahead and stay on the phone while the person, your prospect, fills this out, if at all possible. And then what do you know? 1 minute later, then they get a text with a link to the funding proposal app. Best practice, stay on the phone with them when they're filling that out. Not to pressure them, not to persuade them, not to give them anxiety, but simply we just know that if you hold someone's hand through the completion of this, plus the app, which comes to them afterwards, you'll have about a 97% participation rate. But let's get back to our agenda for today, shall we? All right, so we're talking about financial projections today. So we're not talking about your money anymore. We're going to close that chapter. We're talking about clients and what we do to get clients funded, because it's not too good to be true. It's not a scam. It's not anything other than advertise. What do? We help clients get their initial funding offer now, which is the concept of the funding proposal. Then we work with them to strengthen their file to qualify for at least $100,000. An important element of that is having business financial projections. So let's talk about that. I think many people in general, but also maybe many of you, don't properly differentiate historical financials and projections. So what's a historical financial? A historical financial demonstrates the performance of a business in the past, how it's done in the past. Now, a lot of times you and I are working with early stage businesses, so there really is no past performance. Well, is that a problem? Well, is it better to have strong historical financials? Of course, that's better. How do we address when a business doesn't have strong historical performance, either because it wasn't performing well in the past or it's new, so there's no history? Well, creating the projections. So that's the second element going forward. So if you were to look forward and you're to stretch your arms out, touch your thumb to your forefinger on your left hand, and that's going back in time since the entity was formed, which might have been a day or a year or a decade or 100 years ago. That's the past. But now think on your right hand going forward. That's today going forward. And normally when we develop projections for 36 months, 3 years. So there's a dramatic difference between historical financials and projections, right? Historical financials must be accurate. They must be accurate. It's bank fraud otherwise. We can't make up things that happened in the past if they didn't happen in the past. That's inappropriate. You and I are not going to be involved with that. Alternatively, if we're looking forward to the future, no one can say that it's false. No one can say that it's not going to happen because it's a projection. So one of the things that we do with all of the clients that you are feeding in through the free funding proposal, in addition to getting them their initial funding offers, we're putting together their business plan and financial projections, which allows us to have what's called a loan package. So financial projections are very important because it's a key indicator to be able to repay the loan. So again, let's step back. While there are other types of funding than loans, there's of course equity, there's earned income, and there's also gifts and grants. But from a loan perspective, borrowing money with the expectation to pay it back, what's the lender's number one concern? Can the borrower afford to pay it back? So the lender, when underwriting a loan, can look at the historic financials and say, oh yeah, there's enough money coming in that the business can afford to pay the loan payment. But what do we do when we don't have strong historical financials or it's a new business, so there's really no historical financials to speak of? We need to have really strong projections that show upon receiving this loan and injecting it into our business, now we're able to monetize that, and now we're going to be able to make money. So we show our revenue going forward. We also show our expenses. What is one of the expenses? One of the expenses is the loan payment each month if we're wanting a loan. So hopefully that makes sense. So let me pause there. I have more to say about this, but let me pause. Anyone have questions or comments on the importance of financial projections? And or does anyone have questions understanding the very simple concept that there's a difference between our historical financials, what we've done in the past, versus our projections, what we're going to do in the future? So we can help clients create historical financials, but those have to be accurate. Of course, can't make anything up. But going forward, we have great liberty. We have great creativity in terms of projecting what's going to happen in the future. We all good there? Okay, so let's scroll on down. We'll create a little bit more space. So one of the deliverables that we provide for all clients to come through the free funding proposal, because let's go back to this. So in the free funding proposal, you could argue that there's two phases of funding. The first phase is what we call the first tranche. What does the client qualify now for? Based upon their current status of their business, of their individual status, what do they qualify for now? Some people qualify for a lot of what we call first tranche offers, some a few, everyone gets at least one. That's based upon how they've handled themselves historically. So rather that's a lot or a little, it is what it is. They can accept the offers they want. Our key power here that you and I bring to them is creating strong financials, a strong loan package going forward, whereby that we can demonstrate to the lender, yes, we should get that loan because we can afford to pay it back. Because that's the number one concern of lenders, isn't it? Is can the borrower pay it back? So what we do is we use a fairly sophisticated software. I first used it when I worked at the SBA, and then when I was a college professor teaching entrepreneurialism, we used the same software. So it's a high-level professional grade software. And so for everyone that is going through this process, after we complete their historical financials, in other words, after they get what they qualify for now, as we're preparing for the rest of their capital raise, we put together a loan package that includes a sales forecast. Well, why does that matter? Well, because money has to come from somewhere. If your client wants to borrow 100,000 or 500,000 or $1 million, whatever the amount is, it doesn't matter what the amount is. How are they going to pay it back? Because unless we're getting away from loans, which we can do, not everyone has to get loans, right? They can get equity-based capital, they don't have to pay back. They can get earned income, they don't have to pay back, or they can get gifts, grants, they don't have to pay back. But if we're going after loans, we need to show the lender that we can afford to pay it back. Well, that would happen by the business projecting to have sales. Now, what are they going to sell? I don't know. Are they a plumber? So they're going out and installing toilets? Are they an accountant? So they're preparing tax returns? Of course, revenue streams will vary by business. That's fine. But we need to project what that's going to be. Now, if you have a client that already has all this together, that's great. It's going to make it even faster. But if they have none of this or part of this, that's fine. That's the concept here, because the free funding proposal is real. We're going to generate funding offers for the client now, but to get them from where they're at to where they need to be to qualify for a minimum of 100,000 is not magic. It's not sorcery. It's based upon making the client legally and ethically look good on paper. So we need a sales forecast. How much money do we expect to come in each month for the client, and what are those revenue streams? No, that we can't just give. So many clients that I talk to, I was talking to one client this morning. I mean, he's passionate. He owns a cleaning company. So he's passionate. He knows cleaning like there's no tomorrow. But while he can verbally tell me, I quickly want to stop hearing about it, because the lender's not going to have a 4-hour conversation with the people you refer in. They're going to look at the business plan and financial projections. So we need to get it in writing, and that's what we do. So sales forecast, how much we expect to come in each month, and where's it coming from? Expense, what are we going to spend the money on? Maybe it's for the owner's payroll or benefits. Maybe it's for a company automobile or automobiles. We're not restricting how the client spends the money, but we need to have a budget of where the money's coming in from and where is it going out. Obviously, we need to include in the budget the debt repayment. So again, unless we're not using debt, if we're using equity, earned income, or gifts and grants, then we have to pay it back. But if we're wanting to borrow money, we need to show in our financials that we can afford to pay it back. Sometimes we have clients that come to us and we'll ask them, well, how much funding do you need? And they'll say, well, as much as I can get. Well, we can't build financials for an unknown amount, because one element of the financial projections has to be, what's our expense budget? How much are we going to pay per month? If we're wanting to borrow 100,000, the monthly repayment is much less than if we're borrowing $1 million. So you'll see us work with clients to come up with a uses and sources of funds and identify what are we going to spend the money on, and then how much money do we need, and what's the budget going to be. So again, here we're talking about future, not historical. We're going to help them create a profit and loss statement going forward, projected balance sheet, and projected cash flow. So these are deliverables that we provide clients through this platform. Do you need to explain all of this to clients? No. And you may not want to. You may want to just limit your conversation to what's in this paragraph right here. In general, the less that you say, the more clients that you'll enroll and the more money that you'll make. We'll take up the implementation side. But I just want you to understand why this is real. How do we guarantee everyone at least 100,000? It's not BS. It's based upon helping them become legally and ethically qualified on paper. Hopefully that makes sense. So we know it works. It always works. We create documentation to support the amount of funding that we are pursuing. So with that being said, we'll open it up for questions, but I want to make sure, going back to you, talking about your money, not as a client, but as a distribution partner, are you ready for June to hit 100,000? If not, you're of the wrong mindset. Maybe you should be doing something else, because we want every one of you to have the mindset, yes, I'm going to go earn $100,000 this month. How does that happen? Sounds too good to be true. No, you have a landing page. If you don't have a landing page, we've got to fix that. So we'll pull this back up. You have our phone number, right? If you don't have a landing page, I'd be calling us and saying, where the fuck is my landing page, right? Because do you have to have a landing page to earn money through this model? No, but it's the simplest way to drive people in. And so many of you are demonstrating this, right? You use your landing page, you bring them in, they get a free funding proposal, they get the first injection of money in their pocket. Now they trust you, now they have the disposable income. And then if they need to move into the full startup program, which our branch offices offer, then they can. But I'm just telling you, what we see most successful is going to the marketplace where clients have no upfront cost and guaranteed results. So let's go back to our agenda here. So I just need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can. If you don't have a landing page, what are you going to do? You're going to call us. So we need to address it. I appreciate Latasha, you pointing out you don't have one, and I'm sorry you don't. We'll have to figure that out. But I'm not a good enough multitasker to juggle 628 of you and individual requests. So call us. If you do not have a landing page, you need to call us because we've dropped the ball, it sounds like. We need to get you set up as an affiliate. Well, let me mention this, Latasha. If you have not completed this, then you won't have a landing page. So maybe I skipped a step, probably accidentally. Here, let's go to this. So if you go to makingmillionaires.org, Latasha, it's going to look just like it's this page. You need to fill this out, Latasha, and anyone that doesn't have a landing page. You check the box, click the blue or purple, whatever that is, and just a short time later, it's going to send you a text and say, do you want to receive text from us? You'll type yes, Y-E-S, and then within a minute, you'll get a link to fill out to become an affiliate. And as an affiliate, then you get a landing page that's coded to you that looks just like this. Now, the landing page is going to have a bunch of gobbledygook, which means letters and numbers. But if you don't want that, we can create a URL. So, for instance, we bought fundingproposal.online. So that makes more sense, right? So then when people go to it forwards over. So you'll get a landing page. It'll look just like this, Latasha. But if you don't like the gobbledygook, then what you can do, and we can help you, is you can get whatever domain name that you want, and then we can just forward it over like we've done here. Okay, so anyone that does not have a landing page, well, I skipped a step inadvertently. We need to make sure you filled out this. So it's on makingmillionaires.org forwards to this page, and we'll get you set up. So thank you for that. James wants his logo changed. So again, yeah, anyone that wants your logo changed on this, just email us the logo that you want, and we can swap this graphic out. Other than that, it's going to be standardized. But yes, James, we can change that out. So let me pull that up. And so then support at ChapmanLoanProgram.org for the email. All right, let's see. Jeanette's asking about Charlotte. Yeah, so Charlotte, we hired, what now, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it is. She is the affiliate program manager. She's a registered nurse by background. She was in the Army. She was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first women combat engineers. She knows how to hook explosives to the bad guy's fuel tank to make them go boom. She's awesome to work with. She's not really a salesperson. She's a process manager. So any of you that are signed up through our affiliate program, you should be working with Charlotte, preferably on a daily basis. She is your right-hand person to make sure that you're making money, to give you reports of, has everyone gone through? Are they signing up? How much funding? And so forth. So make sure, and you'll be introduced personally to Charlotte once you fill out the affiliate page. If you're not one of our affiliate team, then Charlotte's kind of irrelevant to you, right? She doesn't matter to you. But once you become an affiliate, you'll be well supported. So thank you for that. Who else has questions, comments, concerns on, I guess, how to be an affiliate, which wasn't the goal today, how the free funding proposal process works, which really wasn't the goal today, But specifically, I wanted to make sure that everyone understands the role of financial projections and how we help participants create lendable, fundable, compliant projections so that way that they'll qualify, because it's too good to be true to think that a bank is just going to give out money. A bank or a lender is going to look at the applicant and determine, do they think that the loan can be repaid? Is there enough money coming in? It's okay. It is okay if the business is brand new or startup or early stage or pre-revenue, whatever descriptor you want. That is okay. But if that's the case, then the financial projections are crazy important, because the historical financials won't support the loan. But we've seen 100% of the time, if we create good projections, we can overcome the absence of historical financials. Now, that's not to say that historical financials aren't valuable. Sure, if you've had a business, a client that has a business that's been operating profitably, that's even better. But to be successful, that's not a prerequisite. And again, we put in writing. We're on the hook, not you. We're on the hook to get every participant at least 100,000. How does that happen? It happens by creating a fundable business legally and ethically. So just looking for a little feedback. Was this discussion on financial projections helpful or not helpful? If you could type into the Q&A. If it's not helpful, what that lets me know is I'm giving you too much detail. You don't really care about it. All you really want is to know how to refer people to your landing page. If it's helpful, what that means is you care about what's happening behind the scenes and you see value in it. It's okay. We're not asking you to do the work. We just want you to know why it's possible, because if these things weren't happening, it would be a bullshit proposition, right? Hey, sign up and we guarantee you 100,000 no matter what your situation is. That's crazy talk, right? That's malicious. But that's not what we say. What we say is, hey, come in, fill out the funding proposal, and we'll get you what you qualify for now. Let's put some money in your pocket now. I don't know how much it'll be. We're going to have to apply. You get the offers. You pick the ones that you want. And then of those that you get, you can accept or you can decline. There's no upfront cost. But then we're going to work with you to improve your fundability so you qualify for at least 100,000. Some people leave that second part out, and then it becomes too good to be true to think that we go out and tell people, and I'm not saying this, but I'm just clarifying. If you were to go out and say, hey, it doesn't matter about your credit scores, it doesn't matter about your time in business, just fill this out and you'll get 100,000 in 24 hours. I mean, that's too good to be true. That's not real. What you and I do is real. It is legal. It is ethical. It is FTC compliant. We help people get what they qualify for now, and then we help them qualify for the rest of what they want based upon solid business principles. The same thing that all of us did when we worked for the SBA. This is not craziness. But your world is pretty simple, right? Get your free landing page. It's going to look like this, except for James and those of you that wanted the logo to change. Get your free landing page and drive people to your landing page. As I mentioned earlier, best case scenario, stay on the phone with them when they're completing it, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. But what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're witnessing is if you'll take 5 minutes of your time, let's say it's Pearlie. Pearlie's on the line here. So let's say Pearlie's a prospect. I say, Pearlie, great. I'm going to text you my link, and in the next 5 minutes, we're going to get you set up to get funding offers. Okay, Pearlie, do you have 5 minutes for me? She'll probably say yes. I'll say, Pearlie, we'll guarantee you're going to get at least 100,000 through the program, no upfront cost. I'm going to text you my link. So then I'm going to text her my link. So then she gets the page that looks just like this. And I'm going to stay on the phone in a best case scenario with Pearlie and say, okay, Pearlie, do you see it? Okay, can you go ahead and put in your first name, your last name, your mobile number, and your email, and then let me know, Pearlie, when you've done that. So you wait patiently. Unless Pearlie's a really slow typist, it doesn't take long at all. Okay, Pearlie, then go ahead and check the box and hit the blue bar. Did you do that, Pearlie? Great. Okay, in just a moment, Pearlie, you're going to get a text, and it's asking, do you want to receive information from us? Of course you do. So when you get that text, type in the word yes, Y-E-S. Let me know when you've done that. And it'll go to her almost right away. We've had weird shit happen. We had a guy over the weekend, oh, the system doesn't work. It's bullshit. And it's like, give us an example. Well, that person, the prospect, used a different number for their mobile number. It was a Google Voice or something. I don't know what it was. So the text went to some other number, but the client wasn't astute enough to connect the dots. So the system does work. So then you encourage them to type yes. And then approximately 1 minute later, they're going to receive a text with a link to the application for them to get a funding proposal. And I know your time's so valuable, but if you would consider staying on the phone with them when they're filling that out, then about 97% of the people do it. So you can be passive and hands off, but I'm showing you best practice. Well, we've gone over, so if you don't have your landing page, we need to fix it. First thing you need to do is come to Making Millionaires if you've not done so, because you wouldn't get a landing page if you've not done that. And so that's here, which is going to look like this. But if you've done this and you don't have your landing page, you need to let us know, because we're dropping the ball and that's unacceptable. We want to get you your landing page, and we want to make sure that in the month of June, you hit 100,000. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Bye.